I mean, I didn't do any notes.
No.
No notes.
Same. Some things never change.
Yeah, there's no point.
If my notes slip, then Dolan creeps into this chair, doesn't he?
I just had a little thing in my head I was going to say, but I was going to do a little partridge.
Mum would be like, "Why have you bought this?" When I was young, I'd be like, "Mum, I like Bovril, let me live." My mum was like, "Oh, that's a lovely voice. Who is that talking?" And my dad was like, "Oh, it's Chris Dolan." And she took one look at the screen and went, "I do not like his hair."
What?
Hello, welcome back to the Villa View podcast with myself, Dan Bardell, and not Tom Julian, not Chris Dolan, definitely not Jazz. Gregg Evans from The Athletic.
Thanks for having me on, Dan.
Mate, thank you very much for coming. Feels like quite a big thing to have you on. Obviously, I've spoken to you for a few years, but I don't know you that well, but we've always communicated.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, the Villa View, I've been watching it for years, and it's been something that, I think you've done a great job on it and really developed it, all of you. So, well done, first and foremost. And yeah, as I say, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, well done to you as well. New job over the last few months.
Yeah.
People who don't know, well, they should know, to be fair, because I probably mention The Athletic every single week now on the podcast, but you're at The Athletic now, no longer Birmingham Mail. How is it?
Yeah, it's going well. It's, I mean, for people who don't know what The Athletic is, it's a sports news based news subscription service, so you have to pay for your news now, which is something new for some people, but I mean, it's going well. The great thing is we've just got a little bit more time to dig deeper into stories and tell stories that nobody else is telling. So I mean, if for people that follow me on Twitter, they would have seen me regularly posting links to my stories about Aston Villa, and as you will see, they're all different, aren't they? It's nothing that you're getting elsewhere. So yeah, it's going really well, really enjoying it. Nice to still be covering Villa, nice to be back in the Premier League with Villa as well, because the Championship was getting a bit of a slog, wasn't it?
It was a slog, mate. Some people loved it. I think there's some people that would rather go back there. I mean, there's no VAR in the Championship, to be fair, so that is a plus.
We're not talking about VAR today.
I think we've got to, Greg. It's a problem every single week, and we'll come on to The Athletic a bit more later on, but I can't think of anything in this country that's ever been like The Athletic in terms of subscription base for football, because that's obviously there's all the American stuff as well, the basketball, the NFL on there, but I'm primarily using it for football. I can't think of anything else that's done it.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's a very new sort of concept, isn't it? I mean, the Times and the Telegraph have got their premium service where you have to pay for it as well, but I think that if you just create something that's great, people will pay for it. Yeah, well, I have. And I mean, it's like Netflix, I suppose, in a way. I pay for Netflix because they provide me with things that I can't get elsewhere. And I think that's what The Athletic, that's how most sports fans are feeling about The Athletic now. They're feeling that they're getting stories and information that they're just not getting anywhere else. It's quite new, but it seems to be going well. We've got over 600,000 subscribers, so the numbers are big. And I think the big pull with The Athletic is the bundle. I mean, as you mentioned there, you don't necessarily follow American sports. But
I like the basketball, to be fair.
Yeah, there's a lot of Villa fans that have got an NFL team or an NBA team, and they can just they can sign into The Athletic and get all of that, in one. So
Tom would be disappointed to not be here and hear the NFL mentioned, because it must be something about that chair, because I don't think we've ever got through a podcast without the NFL being mentioned in some way. So I wasn't there on Saturday, but obviously I watched the 90 minutes on BT. You were there for The Athletic on Saturday, Man City. It was always going to be tough, wasn't it? But it was kind of the way we lost in the end that was disappointing.
Yeah, it was frustrating, wasn't it, really? Because I tweeted after about 40 minutes.
It's a brave time to tweet that. It's 40 minutes right after.
Trying to think of the chance. I think it might have been Silva that put one just wide. And I was starting to get a feeling in the press box. I was thinking, this might be one of those days where it goes against City and possibly for Villa. I thought they played really well in the first half. I thought they stuck to a game plan. And just nullified the threat of City a little bit, and gave him a bit on the attack as well. But 26 seconds into the second half, and they just switch off. I mean, I can remember City. They came flying out the blocks because the Villa had the kick-off in the second half, and the referee had to pull it back because Jesus had run into the Villa's half quickly. So I mean, they were fired up straight away for it. And speaking to Tom Heaton after the game, he said that that the players had trained all week for that long ball from Edison. So to actually lose
that makes it worse.
Makes it so much more frustrating. But yeah, it was just a moment of lack of concentration for Tyrone Mings. People who followed me on Twitter, as I say, would have seen how much I've wax lyrical about him.
Yeah, we have here too.
But he'll know that he was at fault for that goal, and then it was hard, wasn't he, after that?
Because I've got to say, in general, when I've seen Man City this season, I haven't had the feeling that they're the same team that they've been over the last few years. Like even on Saturday, yeah, they're very good. De Bruyne is the best player in the league, in my opinion. I mean, Grealish posted, didn't he, that like he's something to look up to. That's what he aspires to, and fingers crossed he gets that level. But I just don't feel like they're the same. I feel like there's something missing a little bit from them, and I do feel like it was a decent chance to go there and get something.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's difficult, isn't it? Because you don't expect to get anything from places like that. I think that just the first 45-minute performance gave Villa a little bit of hope. It was just disappointing that they couldn't hold on to that 0-0 for a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Would have been interesting to see whether City got a little bit nervous if maybe got to 55 minutes, 60 minutes.
The Wolves game as well, isn't there?
Exactly,
that they've had recently.
Exactly, and would they have started to become a little bit wary then of getting caught potentially on the break, as what happened with Adama Traore in Wolves?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I thought they got the early goal, and then the VAR decision for the second goal was ridiculous, and then it was a breeze walk in the park for them. That, which is unfortunate.
So we'll go back to the start. Obviously, the first thing, the team selection. I think, I said in our match preview, I thought the two changes that he made would be made. So El Ghazi out for Trezeguet and Connor out for Luiz. So I can see why you did that, but what surprised me was it wasn't like he was playing Nakamba and Luiz as a double pivot. Luiz was getting forward, so it wasn't actually the change of system that I was expecting. It was still 4-3-3. So with that in mind, were you surprised that you put Luiz back in and took Connor out? Because going forward, Connor's the better player.
Of course, yeah. I mean, I always say Horan deserves his place in the squad, in the team, because he's always good for a goal, isn't he? I mean, I still feel like he scored against Brighton.
Yeah,
it just feels like
I'm sure he does.
He has scored, but it was a surprise, but also not a surprise at the same time. I thought that at times Douglas Luiz was closer to Nakamba. The problem against Brighton was that the forward players were just getting in between the pockets either side of Nakamba too easily, and I think maybe Dean Smith thought if he put Luiz there, it might just sort of make Villa a bit more compact.
Yeah.
And at times when they were defending, it did, but I felt that Luiz was eager and keen to get forward.
Yeah, he was in the box, wasn't he, a few times?
Yeah.
Because I thought he was good in the first half, Luiz. Actually, I thought he was probably, arguably, our best player in the first half. But then he disappeared for me. He faded. He
faded out. I mean, I think, to be honest, I think the rest of the team did as well. I thought McGinn was quite quiet in the second half as well. But yeah, I felt like Luiz had a point to prove against Man City.
It's a weird situation.
Like, didn't it? It felt like, although it wasn't necessarily his doing, it was a weird situation in going back to City, wasn't it?
Yeah.
He never played there, yet he was returning there. But
well, everyone's expecting him to end up there eventually as well.
Yeah.
And he's ended up in the Brazil squad, so it was good few days for him, to be fair. Brazil squad, and then starting the game at City.
Yeah, done well. I mean, he's such a well-built guy as well, isn't he? Forget he's only so young, 21. It's like got it all ahead of him, really.
He's going to be a good player, that's for sure. Do you think he'll? I mean, we've got another game before then, but do you think he'll keep that for Liverpool at home? What do you think? He'll put Connor back in?
I think he'll see how the Wolves game goes. I think if there's a standout performer in the Wolves game, then that player might potentially start against Liverpool. I think it happened in the previous rounds, and it was Connor knocking on the door, and then got his chance in the league. So I think he'll wait and see. Really, something could happen in the game, couldn't it? Potentially there could be an injury or suspension. I mean, we don't know what's going to happen with Jack yet.
No. That's true.
It's a real big concern, isn't it?
Have you found anything out about the injury? I've tried to find stuff out and haven't got anywhere yet.
No. I think it's still early days in terms of the the extent of they'll still be assessing him, seeing. You really hope it's not anything to do with the injury last season.
That's a good point.
It's a real concern because his leg was very very fragile. During the winter months of last season, so let's just hope it's not a similar injury or a type of setback, in terms of that. We'll have to wait and see.
Do you think he should have come off earlier? Because we were 3-0. The game's gone, isn't it? We're not going to score 3 against City.
Possibly. I just feel that he's not going to start against Wolves regardless.
No.
I think we all know that anyway. So maybe they just, Gareth Southgate's watching as well. maybe the manager thought, we'll let him sort of do his stuff.
He's on a booking as well, though. That was the thing. I felt like he was going to get... forget the injury. I felt like he's going to get sent off here.
Because he was a bit lucky, didn't he? Where he was a bit lucky. Like, there was a challenge where, I can't remember who it was, I think it might be Mendy or Sterling possibly. Yeah, it's one of the ones up on the right-hand side, the left-hand side for City anyway. But yeah, anyway, he didn't get second booking. But could potentially be worse with injury.
So we actually started okay. We were doing the right things, weren't we? We were defending compact. Like the fullbacks, it felt like they were quite reluctant to come out to the wide players, and they were told to keep it compact in the middle, keep it narrow, and keep it tight. It was working. To be fair, we were frustrating them, and I felt like we were breaking well at the right times, because you can't just break every single time. You got to pick the right time to do that. And I thought we were doing that. I thought Trezeguet did a lovely piece of skill.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Early on in the game, didn't he? But again, he kind of... I mean, maybe they all faded a bit in the second half. In the first half, it felt like most people were doing what they should be, doing things right. And in the second half, it just went out the window. But I think if you made a Trezeguet so far...
Trezeguet, I quite like him on the ball. I think he's got the ball carrying qualities to come from defence and quickly transfer that into attack. Excuse me. I just thought he gave the ball away way too often against Man City, and you just can't do it against them because they punish you immediately. He had that chance with the header as well, where he completely missed it from a decent cross into the box.
That diving header where he came. It's a good run, good movement.
Yeah, that's what I mean. He shows good movement, he shows willingness. Since Tyrone Mings rollicked him at Crystal Palace and told him to get back and stop and make sure that he continues to cover his left back at the time, that was Neil Taylor. He's worked harder, I've found, in defence, but he just hasn't. He needs a goal, doesn't he?
Yeah, he needs something. I don't think he's even got an assist yet. Has he? Did he get one the other way? No, he hasn't
got a goal. If he gets a goal, he might kick on, because I've spoken to a lot of people in Egypt, and he is the star man aside from Salah.
He's as big as Salah in some respects, isn't he? They love him there.
They love him because it was his introduction in the crucial World Cup qualifying game off the bench that changed the game. He won the penalty that Mo Salah converted in the 93rd minute or whatever it was. So they love him. They think that he could go on and he's not going to be as good as Mo Salah, but they think he can go on and be that sort of creative player that they're potentially missing.
Because he's relatively young, isn't he? And you kind of feel like we know he's not the finished article, and the coaching staff, Dean Smith, they'll know he's not the finished article. Yeah, he's the kind of one of those ones that they can work with and try and improve and make him better.
Yeah, definitely. Just going back to the Egypt thing, he's got a street named after him in Egypt, so that shows how much they like him.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think he's somebody who Dean Smith potentially can mould. 6 months into his time in England, he might be a slightly different player.
Yeah, people do need time to settle. I think that does get overlooked quite a lot sometimes. I mean, we're going to come on to Wesley because there's been tons of questions about him. Yeah, and he hasn't had. He didn't have the best game, let's face it. But we'll come on to that. But yeah, Trezeguet, he's got something in him, hasn't he? That's the overriding thing with him so far.
Yeah, I think so. I think, as I say, I think he can carry the ball out from defence quickly. I think if he can get a goal, that'll boost his confidence, and then let's see where he goes from there.
So as you said earlier, you did start to feel there was times where you felt like it would be Villa's day, because Jesus put one wide really that you'd have backed him to score early doors as well. Pep absolutely killing my fantasy football team, by the way. But I
had Aguero captain.
Yeah, I did too. It's one of those ones where I made Aguero captain thinking if I make him captain, he just won't score. He just won't score against Villa, and he didn't even really play. And then obviously he comes on and gets me the 2 points overall. Yeah, Pep's not one for fantasy football at all. He does not enjoy fantasy football at all. But then we had a good chance on a break with McGinn, didn't we? Yeah. He manipulated the ball well and curled it. Good save from Edison. They've looked at the penalty. I don't think it was a penalty in the rebound, but that was when you started to think there's something to be had for us here, because we were doing well.
Yeah, that's what I thought. That's why I was just starting to get that feeling. Grealish had that good little run where he danced past a couple of players, put quite a decent ball into
down
the
right
box.
hand side as well, wasn't he? Keeps popping up there.
Yeah, and put a good ball into the box. Wesley was nowhere near it. Just Villa weren't committing enough players into the box, I thought, at that point. Okay, it's Man City, you've got to be conservative. You can't open yourself up because you will get punished, but just thought there was a slight bit more they could have done.
Yeah, because Smith spoke about we're going to go there and try and play with some attacking intent. And to an extent, I think we did that, but like you say, I felt like there wasn't enough men in the box when we did get in good positions. The full-backs, and now it's obviously part of the game plan. Targeting Gilbert were barely getting forward, were they?
No.
They couldn't, because that's where Man City hurt you, out wide. And if the wingers don't get you, Mendy will get you, or it's Cancelo on Saturday.
And Sterling was tearing Gilbert apart early.
Did you think?
Early on.
Straight off? Wow. Because I thought Gilbert handled him quite well in the first half. No.
I thought personally Gilbert was struggling big time.
It's amazing how you're there sat in the stands and you think one thing and I'm sitting there at home. I remember saying to my dad, I think Gilbert's doing okay against Sterling here, but then you're telling me the opposite.
It was probably the first 15 minutes or so. Sterling was just getting in behind him. Engels was having to cover slightly. I thought Engels was fantastic in the first half.
Yeah, he was brilliant.
Made some brilliant covering blocks, interceptions, headers. I was so impressed with him. An excellent signing. Somebody that Dean Smith has been trying to get for a while, as we know. But
it's hard to imagine him playing at Brentford, though. Dean Smith was trying to get him at Brentford, isn't he? Do you think he would have gone there?
I can't imagine it, because he was so close to the Belgium squad.
Yeah.
And only injuries previously cost him a place. But he did have a little bit of a drop in form where he left. He left Belgium to go to France, wasn't it?
Yeah,
and
Rennes, I think.
He was kind of reinventing his career in France, but was brilliant at Rennes. Came up against the likes of Neymar and stuff, and Mbappe, and when they did quite well, I think, Rennes, as far as I can remember. But yeah, he's come on leaps and bounds, and Villa have got a really good player there, I think.
Because I think they complement each other, Engels and Mings. I think we saw the best of him in the first half, and probably the worst of him again in the second half. And you've done a piece in the Athletic today talking about Villa and the difference in the first half and the second half. And obviously we're going to come on to the second half. But you just want to go into a little bit about your article?
Yeah,
I've got it in front of me if you want to read it.
Yeah, I just thought that the fact that Villa have conceded 13 of their 16 goals in the second half, the fact that I know it's a bit of a silly argument, but if the games had finished at half time, Villa would be third in the league.
Yeah,
I think
you're saying it's a silly argument, but
yeah,
it's a pattern. It's something that's happening.
Exactly, it's a pattern. The mitigating circumstances are that Villa have played Man City, Tottenham, and Arsenal away from home. They've conceded 9 goals against those 3 teams. They are elite teams that are probably going to finish in the top 6, aren't they?
I'd argue they're the Arsenal elite at the moment.
Still look at the money they spend.
I know. It's
incredible to be able to spend 76 million on Pepper. You've got a world-class striker in Aubameyang who did the damage against Villa. Villa are a newly promoted side. Their aims are to stay in the Premier League, and 11 points after 10 games. They're on track, aren't they, to getting that 40 points that will keep them in there. Plus, they've had some really tough away games, so the fixture list will probably get a little bit easier, won't it? They've got a really tough period coming up, but at the start of next year, time for them to pick up some more points. But yeah, the second half performances it's a strange one, isn't it? Is it a lack of concentration? Dean Smith insisted, he was adamant that it wasn't to do with tiredness or lack of fitness.
Yeah, I didn't think anything about tiredness on Saturday. I thought Trezeguet looked tired, to be honest. Yeah. I think he's looked tired after 45 minutes of every game he started, but there was the Spurs game, the Arsenal game, they all looked a bit leggy, didn't they?
Yeah.
I didn't get that impression on Saturday at all.
Yeah, same. I think Arsenal, they just ran out of steam, didn't they? Tottenham, they ran out of steam.
Yeah, first game back.
Yeah. Arsenal was a strange one because they just sat too deep. I remember speaking to Tyrone Mings after the game, and he just said we needed to continue doing what we were doing.
Yeah, it was obvious
when we were in the league.
Yeah, I was at that game. It was obvious.
And but I understand the tendency is to just sit back when you've got that lead and think we'll try and protect it. But they just came on too strong. Guendouzi started ripping the midfield apart, dictating the play. And it was difficult, wasn't it, from there?
I always think it's a weird one though, because Dean Smith comes out in the interview afterwards and in his post-match and he says, well, they weren't instructed to sit back. Mings is telling you, we shouldn't be sitting back. So how does it end? It just ends up happening, doesn't it? Arsenal had 10 men, because out of all our games, there's been a lot of annoyances with various other things, but it was that mentality that annoyed me in that game, that frustrated me. Yeah. It's a weird one when people are coming out and saying, well, that's not what we're told to do, that's not what we should be doing. What was happening?
It's hard, isn't it? I think the natural instinct is to drop back and protect your lead, isn't it? And you think, well, we've got this now. But it's something they'll learn from, and I think
they are still learning.
They will learn from that. I suppose the Brentford game to an extent, the Brighton game to an extent, they scored in the last minute. They continued to fight, and then they were brilliant at Norwich, weren't they? So the good thing about Dean Smith as a manager is every time he's gone through a bad period, whether that be at Walsall, Brentford and Aston Villa, he's always come out of it. He's always shown that no matter how close he's got to maybe the brink, he's always come around from it.
Yeah.
There was a time at Walsall when I don't know how they stayed up the one season, but he managed to keep them up. At Brentford, they were struggling right towards the bottom of the table, and then went on a brilliant run. And we forget sometimes at Villa that they won twice in 14 games when Jack Grealish was out.
I thought the season was over then.
And honestly, there were people messaging me on Twitter and tweeting me saying, Dean Smith's not good enough for this job, he's not big enough for it. But once again, he proved that he can turn it around. And I think that's the good thing about having him in charge. He will always put it right.
Yeah, he's got those traits, hasn't he? I think he's an important thing as well. Because I was saying to you before we came on, I'm a little bit disappointed by the performance in some aspects. But then I'm like, well, this time last year Steve Bruce was saying a win against Rotherham at home was the best thing since sliced bread. So I need to get some perspective, maybe. But with Dean Smith, you got to remember that he's not managing the Premier League before. A lot of our players haven't played in the Premier League before. I mean, the most Premier League experience in our setup is John Terra, and he's new to coaching. Yeah. So there's a lot of learning going on, and people will say, well, the Premier League's not the place to do it. But I think it's important that everyone's kind of building and learning together, and I think when it does all gel properly, because I think it's starting to now. I think the ideas are coming across more in the Premier League now. Yeah. I think the sky's the limit for us.
Yeah, look, I mean, you would have seen the interview with Christian Perslow, wouldn't you? The interview he did in the summer. Villa had a real clear and careful and considered recruitment policy. They bought the majority of their players under 25. Decided that Tom Heaton was the guy who would be the senior, experienced head. I think he's done great so far. I did genuinely feel sorry for Jed Steer after such a great season.
Yeah, me too. We question that.
But look, it's a ruthless streak from the manager and the recruitment team. And to be honest, I mean, Heaton's done nothing wrong, and he's shown that he's a quality, experienced player. But the good thing about the other players, the outfield players, is that they can all potentially increase in value.
Yeah, they will, and they are.
They are already, aren't they?
Mings is double what we paid for him.
And McGinn's worth so much more. Okay, Ezri Konsa hasn't played too often, but I think you will see in time that he will be, and Bjorn Engels, as we've mentioned before. So yeah, I mean, look, they're very young. They're going to improve. They're going to build and strengthen together. There was a journalist asked in the recent press conference, what did you ask the players? What did you want from the players, Dean, when you recruited them? And the first thing he said was, I want the players to be able to hold a conversation. Which is quite interesting.
Yeah.
He wants this group to be confident together, to be able to handle criticism, to be able to give it out when they need to, but to just all be together and in it as one. And I think the team spirit now at Villa is so much better than it's been in previous years.
Yeah, because it was good under Bruce, wasn't it? When we nearly went up. Yeah, you can't say it wasn't. It was a bad team spirit. But there's always that underlying feeling with Bruce that it's just not going to last. He's not the right man long term. He steadied us, and I think people do forget that. He steadied us, and he got a good dressing room again, because the dressing room had been a problem for years. But then he was never the long term the right man. And if you'd have gone up with Bruce, I mean, you look at Newcastle now under him, he hasn't got a clue what to do. And it's a tough job. I'm not saying it isn't, but he doesn't help himself, I don't think.
There was also a heavy reliance, wasn't there, at that time on loan players at Villa? Yeah. So it was like, what's going to happen to the loan players if we go up, if we stay down? John Terry was coming towards the end of his career as well, wasn't he? Maybe he'd played for another year, wouldn't he?
If we'd have gone up,
promoted. But I just think that this regime have got a clear plan. That look, there's not a lone player there, is there? They want to develop their play. They want to develop Aston Villa's players and make them better, and not necessarily make them increase in value to move them on. But if they do lose those players, they're going to make a hell of a lot of money on them.
We're ahead of schedule, really, as well, because there's no way they could have anticipated we'd be in the Premier League in January, February.
No chance.
Absolutely no chance.
No chance. I remember walking into a press conference and I was speaking to Matt Mayer, who works at the Express and Star. He'll remember it, and who does a great job also, for anyone who doesn't follow Matt. Anyone who doesn't follow Matt, get following him, because he's great. But I remember walking in and saying to him, it was a press conference early in February. I said, there's no way Villa are getting promoted this season.
We said the same in this booth.
Yeah, and I said, because the only way they're getting promoted is if they go on a record-breaking winning run. They would have to literally win more games in a row than they've ever done before, and they did it. I know. It's just crazy, isn't it?
It's mad. That's what I'm saying about the perspective. Like, any little frustrations I had from the game, really, that it's all relative when you look at where we were last season, and the fact that we're even playing against Man City. Yes, we're Aston Villa, all that jazz, but it's amazing when you think back to what it was like. Somehow we've managed to completely delve away from the Man City game completely. So we were just talking about Tom Heaton, and I think my opinion here is probably not going to be the popularist one. I thought it was a definite mistake by Mings. He shouldn't be getting out jumped by Jesus the way he did. Yeah. I thought it was a little bit of a poor piece of goalkeeping. The way he came out didn't look natural. And Sterling, fair play to him, he squeezed it through the smallest of gaps. I don't think he should be going through that gap. I think Heaton should be saving that.
Heaton would probably be disappointed with it, I'd have thought. Any keeper that gets done through the legs, he's going to be annoyed, aren't they? I think fair play to Sterling, he's picked the spot, good finish. So early into the game, I mean, maybe he wasn't even expecting Mings to lose that header and be in that position at the same time. I don't know, but probably should be doing better.
Yeah, I just thought it was an unnatural position the way he came out, like the gap in between his leg and the floor. Obviously, the ball's gone through there, and I fancy myself as a bit of a keeper, to be fair.
Do you?
I'm not as good as Tom Heaton. If
I'm
honest.
I mean, you got a bit of work to do to get there, but
I'm probably am I younger?
You're younger than him.
Mate, he must be the only player I'm younger than, if that's even true. I can't even remember how old he is, to be honest.
I think he's 34, isn't he? So,
we're the same age. We're the same age. But I just felt like it shouldn't be getting through. I felt like he should have saved it. But most people are looking at Mings, and rightly so. It was Mings' mistake. Because obviously you won't have seen this because you were at the game, so. Second half was started and Mings was going and getting some kind of, I don't know if it was a chewing gum, a tablet or something. So Mings was off getting that, ran back on, and the next thing you know, he's getting beat in the air by Jesus. It seemed weird because the camera was focused on it.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Okay, so he was. I think I remember watching it, and he was the last player back onto the pitch. Wasn't he? That's it. Yeah, and then the kick-off was had to be pulled back because Jesus had run into the Villa's half, which just shows how fired up City were.
Oh, they'd have got rollicking at half time.
Yeah.
Pep actually said, weird interview I thought, but he said if they played like they did in the first half, they get relegated. Yeah. I mean, we can safely say they're not going to get relegated, are they?
No, and they weren't even. I mean, they weren't at their best, but they weren't that bad.
They had all that expected goal stuff. They definitely had at least 2 expected goals because that's Silva and Jesus' chances. You'd have put your house on them scoring.
Yeah, Silva more than anyone, but the two, as you say, Man City are the highest in terms of expected goals, aren't they? So they create so many brilliant chances.
Yeah, they've just got a unique way of playing, haven't they? Them in Liverpool, streets ahead of anything else.
Yeah, incredible too. I mean, watching Sterling really impressed me on Saturday. Yeah. I just thought this is a player that's taken his game to a complete new level.
You didn't think Gilbert had him in his pocket?
No.
Weird.
He got better. He grew into the game, Gilbert, actually. It was just the first 15 minutes he was really struggling. But yeah, Sterling's fantastic. His decision-making now.
Because that was what let him down, composure as well.
Gets it right every time. Fantastic player.
Yeah. So then, Villa have, like you say, 26 seconds. Your game plan's been executed almost perfectly in the first half. To go 26 seconds and blow all that, everyone must be pulling their hair out.
Yeah, it's annoying, isn't it? Because I think Villa took the sting out of the game in the first half really well. I thought that Heaton kicked it long and took that little bit longer on the goal kicks when he needed to, but he also played quite a few short, and that just sort of like drawed Man City out a bit. Not that they were ever City, but it just allowed Villa to sort of take a bit of a breather, pass it around between them, and build up their own play. And I thought they were doing that quite well at times, but they just needed to go into that second half. Okay, look, it's easy to say in hindsight, but they just needed to go into that second half, take the sting out of the game a little bit, try and get through 10-15 minutes and reassess at 60 minutes and see where they are, because I firmly believe if it got to 60 minutes 0-0, Man City would have started to get a little bit edgy just because of that Wolves result.
Yeah, it felt a little bit edgy in the first half. I thought just a little bit like it was teetering underneath a little bit.
The thing about City is they're a team that gets, once they get one, they get 2 or 3 quite quickly.
And that's what happened, yeah.
And that's what happened, isn't it? You know, they were 1-0 down against Atalanta, weren't they, in the days leading up to it, and we smashed them 5-1. it's just what they do.
Because that game showed me again. I thought they can be got at, and we just didn't really do it once in the second half, except for them beginning off the post at the end.
It was too late.
I don't really remember us opening them up at all.
No, I mean, I'm trying to think what I would have done different if I was Dean. You know, looking back now, I mean, maybe bring Connor on at some point.
Subs were a little bit late.
Yeah,
I felt, because Wesley wasn't having the best day, was he?
No, he had a. I mean, to put it lightly, he had a stinker, didn't he? He didn't. Okay, again, it's Man City, but he didn't do much to influence the game, I'll have to admit.
Because Henry, HP Wilco, said, does Davis come in now for Wesley? I mean, I think we know he'll come in on Wednesday for the Wolves game. Jude Aston's asked for our thoughts on Wesley. It's his birthday today, so happy 15th birthday to you, Jude. It's
Hi,
a weird
Jude. Yeah, thanks for your questions. And who's the guy? Henry.
Yeah.
Thanks for your questions, guys.
It's a weird one, isn't it? Because Davis isn't a goal scorer. Wesley, you said to me off camera earlier, if he gets a chance, he'll probably take it. It's not like he's missing loads of chances, is it? But he just wasn't really involved in the game on Saturday at all.
No, he wasn't at all. I do believe if he gets the chances, he will score them. The only one he's really missed that he should have scored was one against Everton, was it? And Grealish put it in and he just sort of headed it over.
I can't remember. I remember him missing one.
I think it was against Everton. One of the home games.
His finish against Everton was good. The goal he scored. Finish against Arsenal, 2 against Norwich. So he'll probably be reasonably happy with 4 goals from 10.
4 in 10 isn't bad. You look at Joel Linton, double the money, and he's got 2 goals or
one. I think he only scored against Spurs. Yeah.
So Haller as well from West Ham. Again double the amount that Villa played. So he's on the same goal tally. So in terms of his statistics, they're not bad. 4 out of 10. Just feel like if Davis has a good game against Wolves, gets on the score sheet even, or just really, really shows that he has different qualities to Wesley, then maybe he does deserve a go against Liverpool. But you're up against Van Dijk.
Oh God, yeah.
So it's not going to be easy for whoever plays.
Because it's a tough job up there on your own, especially in a game where you're not going to dominate possession. Man City have had, 63% possession.
Yeah.
I've got down there, which I'm actually surprised is even that low. I would have even expected that to be higher. But he's up there on his own. But when we talk about Davis, we know he's not a goal scorer, but you feel like other players will score goals off him. I'm not getting that feeling with Wesley at the moment. When he's not having a good game, I don't feel like he's holding the ball up. He's not missing chances, but it's not like he's desperate to be getting into the box and stuff and get on the end of things. His hold of play hasn't really been there. Against Norwich, I thought it was good. Wasn't really there again. Wasn't really there last week either.
No,
I don't want to hammer him. It's difficult though, isn't it? Because I think we definitely lack an alternative.
Yeah, the biggest concern for me and an area of the biggest talking point really was, why didn't Villa get another striker?
We know that they wanted one. I think they were close.
They were close. Like Neil Maupay, they wanted, but they weren't prepared to pay the money. They were left with Jonathan Kodjia, Keenan Davis and Wesley. Okay, Wesley's coming from a Champions League team who's done quite well and scored goals. So if he'd have started really well, then we wouldn't be having this conversation potentially. But I think he needs to do a little bit more. I know they're working very hard with him in training. I think Dean Smith is quite pleased with what he's doing.
I wouldn't say I'm displeased, but there's just been the odd game where I feel like there's nothing. I can't say anything good about him, which is a bit disappointing.
It's difficult, isn't it? Because he's not going to play against Wolves. If he starts against Liverpool, he's up against another elite team and he's going to be really up against it. So the desire for success is instant, isn't it? Supporters want it now, and if you're not doing it now, then supporters are on to you. I think we've just got to give him a little bit more time still. He's got 4 goals in 10 games, which isn't too bad. So okay, I totally get that his performances haven't been as good as we would have liked and hoped, but he's a young player still, 22 years old, developing in a new team that have just been promoted. So you've got to cut him a little bit of slack still. Yeah,
but I just think not getting that second striker in,
that's the key.
Put undue pressure on him.
Pressure
that he doesn't need, because you're talking about the factors that are there anyway. He doesn't need it then, that he's pretty much the only senior striker, and he's not even that senior because he's young. I don't see Davis coming in from at any point to start games unless he's got an injury. Villa aren't going to spend £22 million on a striker and then play Davis over him. I just don't think it's going to happen.
No, unless Davies goes and has a brilliant game against Wolves, then he deserves his place, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's not a goal scorer, is he? Again, he needs time to develop and stuff, but it's a hard place to develop in the Premier League.
Very difficult, but I mean, clearly the management team have seen something in him to keep him.
I really like him as a footballer. I think he's a great player, but I think he just lacks that ruthlessness at the moment in front of goal.
Yeah.
Even in the cups against lesser opposition, no disrespect, like Brighton reserves, missed a one-on-one at the end.
Yeah,
he needs to be putting them away, doesn't he, really?
Yeah. Had some really good chances at Brighton at the end. That would have been a big confidence boost. Scoring against Crewe and then getting another one against Brighton. That would have been a really good boost for him, but just didn't quite get it. But you never know, might do it against Wolves.
We've got to talk about it. I don't want to. I'm fed up of talking about it. I hate it. But we have been done by VAR again, and it has impacted the game, because at 1-0 you are still in it. Although I feel like we weren't going to get back in the game anyway. At 1-0 anything can happen. It's a poor decision again, and I've looked at it in such detail and length.
Yeah,
and still come out with the wrong decision.
It's a crazy one, isn't it? I mean, it's speaking to Tom Heaton, who was closer to it than everybody else. He said he heard the noise. He said he couldn't see Silva make a touch, but he heard it. So
yeah, that's key. Cause when you do play football, you do hear little nicks and stuff. You can hear it, even though it's like mind you, the City ground's not that loud, but you can hear stuff, can't you? And from speaking to people, I was sitting close to people that know Man City inside out, and they said there was no way that David Silva would have gone off celebrating if he hadn't touched it. It's a bit naive of Silva, I think, because he's obviously that makes Sterling offside. The fact he's touched it.
But I think that's just David Silva. I mean, I don't know him well at all, but people who I was sitting next to and spoke to at length said that he's just a very honest, genuine person. He's clipped it. It's come off him. Clearly has come off him. It has officially come off him. And he's gone off, celebrated and scored. He probably wouldn't have thought that Sterling would be offside.
Didn't even think about it.
He wouldn't have even crossed his mind. Okay, VAR have done Villa again, but it's just such a difficult one to get right, isn't it?
It is, but then honestly, on the because I've watched it on TV, they've took so long to look at it.
Yeah, I mean, remember being in the stands,
so many different angles.
I was thinking, what's going on? Why is it so long?
That's the other
it's
thing.
Ruining football.
It is
it's horrible.
Football.
It's horrible.
We spoke about it last week. I haven't even celebrated two of Villa's goals recently because they've had one disallowed just before.
You can't, can you? I remember going to a game, and if you scored, you jump up and you go absolutely wild, regardless. As long as the linesman's flag's not up, then you know that it's a goal, pretty much, don't you? But now it's ridiculous. You have to actually wait until VAR has been checked before you can celebrate. It's ruining football, I think. Okay, you want to get the correct decisions, but at the moment there needs to be some changes to it.
Oh, big time.
But yeah, look, we talk about VAR way too often, and it's ruining things. I just hope over the course of the season that we're not talking about VAR potentially relegating Villa or potentially stopping them getting somewhere.
Because people are talking about that. Well, usually you would say, the decisions, they even themselves out over the course of a season. But we have literally got nothing from VAR, no positive at all.
It's crazy.
And on Saturday, my issue with Saturday is David Silva is telling the referee, that's my goal. There's imagery, I've seen pictures and video of him saying to the referee, that is my goal. So if the VAR guys are looking at it, why isn't the referee then saying to the guy in Stockley Park, David Silva said to me he's touched that?
Yeah.
So can you base it on the fact that he has touched the ball and tell me whether Raheem Sterling is offside? And he is.
Yeah.
Why aren't they communicating?
Yeah, it's a good point. The only I don't know. It's hard to defend the officials. It really is hard because.
Unusual in that say because Tom loves a bit of defending officials.
To say right,
he loves it.
He's a ref, isn't
he? He's been known to ref.
Right,
although this season, even he's sick of it.
Yeah,
he loves referees.
It's ridiculous, but I mean, how far do you go though? Okay, if David Silva is telling the ref he's scored, it's taken a touch off his boot, and he's the goal scorer. Surely that direct message should be communicated back. But then I'm just thinking, how much can you tell? Because I'm sitting in that press box thinking, how long is this taking? And
but they looked at it for so long, so it feels like
if the referee's communicating back and saying, well, this is happening, this is happening, this is happening, this is happening, this guy's telling me this guy's telling me that, is it going to be taking too long? I don't know. Look, I haven't got the answers for it.
Well, none of us have.
I haven't got the answers, and it seems like the guys in charge haven't either, because it's clearly not working.
I mean, it's so many games now, so many podcasts. As I say, I'm getting tired of coming in here and talking about it. But even if a decision's wrong and Villa get the advantage from it at the moment, I just feel like I don't care anymore because we've been done so many times now, and it's crucial. And it's people like that. David Silva information is pretty pivotal. It's important information to communicate, and it doesn't look like it's happened. And again, we're talking about it because it's controversial. They used to say that like referees they don't give a penalty unless they're 100% sure. But with VAR, they're giving goals when they're not 100% sure, and it's just another layer, someone else in a booth overruling the referees at times who can't be 100% sure, and it just never feels definitive that they're getting it right. Offsides, usually, they're pretty clear cut, aren't they? But I think they've got that wrong on Saturday.
I agree. They have got it wrong, haven't they? Because Sterling's offside, and it's taken a touch off David Silva, and Sterling's offside. It's as simple as that. They've got it wrong, and Villa have been done again. You're
a bit worried that that's 2 weeks in running we've conceded from a set piece?
Yeah, I think more of a concern actually for Villa is that they still haven't scored from one.
Yeah, we've got big guys in that team as well. Mink should be getting 5-6 a season from defence.
Yeah, when I interviewed Jack Grealish earlier in the season, he said that they've been working hard on set pieces. Neil Cutler and John Terry, they've taken it on themselves to sort of be those set piece specialists, and they've been trying a lot of different things. There's various things that they're waiting for, depending on various opponents.
Yeah.
Which I haven't seen yet, so I'm waiting for that. I just think with Mings and Engels, they've got two real big, powerful defenders in there with a good size. They can use them to their advantage, and obviously Wesley as well, a tall guy. 3 of them in the box. They should be causing more problems, I think, from set pieces. And then also, they've got brilliant deliverers of the ball in Horahan, Grealish, McGinn, and Douglas Luiz looks like he can do it as well. So I just think they should be doing more from set pieces, and maybe that would be something I'll be writing about at some point.
Yeah, they could definitely do with it, because Jack can whip in a lovely ball. We've seen it, but obviously Connor's the best dead ball deliverer we've got, and he's only started, I think, three games. I think he might have started in the Premier League now. And it's a problem him not being on the pitch.
Yeah, and you look at the free kicks he's had. He had 2 against Burnley, was it, when Pope just tipped him round the post.
He hits the target.
Yeah,
he had one against Brighton, didn't he? That was a
I've
good
been calling him
well.
The hashtag goal machine on Twitter recently, because...
Where's the delivery man? That's what I call him.
I like it, yeah.
Thank you. But Jack's got a good delivery, though, so when he's on the pitch, we've got to be doing better. Sides that have come up, they're not relying on set pieces, but they're an important factor, and they're something that you can gain an advantage from. And you're right, we've got some big guys in the team. We need to be getting an advantage. And then the third goal has come off a set piece again. It's very scrappy.
Yeah,
the third goal's the same.
Yeah, it's disappointing, isn't it? Because any manager will tell you to concede from a set piece is the worst, because you haven't done the basics right.
Yeah,
and Man City, I don't know the stats behind it, but I don't think they score many from.
They're not a big team.
Pieces,
they've got midfielders playing defence most of the time, so they're not a big team.
Exactly, yeah. And okay, they've got quality, and you don't necessarily have to be tall to be good, but it would have been disappointing. I haven't actually seen the third goal back, but there was. I can remember Sterling was potentially blocking somebody off.
Yeah.
Who was that? Was
it? Well, I can't even remember myself, Mark.
I think it might have been. Davies on at that point.
There was talk that it should have perhaps been looked at.
Yeah, I'll have to see. But I mean, should have looked it back, watched it again. But
I didn't want to watch it for a second time, to be honest.
It was depressing. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, look, it's basic, isn't it? To concede from a set piece will frustrate and anger the coaching team and the defenders.
It's a sloppy goal, the third one. Second one, we've got the VAR stuff, but again, it's a set piece. So. First one's a mistake. You're looking at it and you're thinking all 3 goals are avoidable there. We've lost 3-0. And every time we've done something wrong, we've been punished, which can happen against City.
Yeah.
I think that's why I came away disappointed, because I did feel all 3 goals were avoidable.
I think the 3 goals were avoidable, but I think if you also look at the quality of City's other chances.
Yeah, as I say, 2 City's missed.
The 2 we mentioned in the first half, I mean, they usually score them, don't they? So
yeah.
I think regardless of the bad fortune that Villa had, it wouldn't have affected the score. I think City were good enough, and they would have gone on to win that game regardless.
Yeah, I agree with you. I do think City would have won the game. I think they'd have found a way. But obviously, they ended up going down to 10 men as well, which felt quite academic. Villa get no gain out of that at all. But again, Villa are playing against 10 men. Just skipping back a little bit, because obviously we don't get you in the booth very often, if at all. So Leicester played Southampton away on Friday against 10 men, win 9-0. Villa have struggled when they've played against 10 men. They found it difficult. It's weird, isn't it?
Yeah, I watched Leicester twice against 10 men. Isaac Hayden got sent off for Newcastle against them, and they just completely ripped them apart.
I mean, they're a good team.
They're very good, yeah. I said at the start of the season, that's my team. I think the dark horses.
They're going to break into the top 4, I think.
Yeah, I mean, look, they're doing a fantastic job. I mean, I know that Villa were interested in Brendan Rodgers, but he turned them down because he didn't want to drop down into the Championship, and he's proving now that he is a very good manager. I think it's about time that we start giving him a bit more credit than he usually gets as well. But yeah, going back to Villa playing against 10 men, it's weird, isn't it? Because we've asked Dean Smith this a few times because they haven't been able to take advantage. I mean, Brighton were brilliant.
Oh, I was really impressed with them. Really impressed with them.
They found a way to play through Villa's midfield. I mean, as I said earlier, they were just getting past Nakambi either side of him.
Yeah, he was isolated.
Yeah, and I think maybe that was why Dean decided to make the change with Luiz coming in. I don't know, but it's weird, isn't it? I think that Villa feel that they're overloaded when they've got 11 men. They're overloading in certain areas, but they're not. And then that's leaving them exposed in other areas.
Yeah, it is really weird because you look at it on the face of it, it's not like we're a bad side on the ball.
No, not at all.
We've got people that can carry the ball. You think against 10 men we'd find it a bit easier, but it could just gone the other way. It's one of those things you say, I can't put my finger on it at all.
It's a strange one because the two teams in the division, Man City and Aston Villa, are the teams that have misplaced the fewest amount of passes.
So, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. Man City the most, Villa next. So that clearly shows that Villa are good on the ball.
Yeah, we are.
You know, and they pick the right passes. And against 10 men, for me, looking at it, you've got to pass it from side to side quicker, haven't you? And just open it up a bit, make the pitch bigger, and then surely that will play to your advantage. They just didn't seem to do that against any of the teams that played.
Yeah, especially with the fullbacks we've got now. Like, no disrespect to him, but if Neil Taylor and Al Mohammadi are playing,
it's different. Yeah,
you'd think, okay, maybe we're not making the most of the wide areas. Especially when Neil Taylor's not the best going forward. He's a good defender, but not the best going forward. But we've actually got the fullbacks now to create the width, so that makes it even stranger.
Yeah,
it's weird.
Yeah, I think Target's impressed. Does he impress you? He's impressed me.
He didn't impress me against Brighton, if I'm being honest. But in the other games, he's impressed me. It's not really a fair game to judge him. The last game, Man City, I wouldn't say. But the first two games, I thought he was brilliant, and he adds a new dimension to the attack.
Doesn't he? I think I like the way he's very positive and gets forward more. You know, I think that was something that was lacking previously. I think when Al Mohammadi and Taylor play, they're just not as attack minded, are they? As Gilbert and Target. So I like that. It's a positive move from Smith.
They're more reliable, I would say. Players, you know what you're going to get with them, really, more than anything. Just to finish on the Man City game here. Talk about the third shirt quickly. You did a piece, didn't you, in the lead up to the game about the third shirt. What do you make of it?
The first time I seen the pictures of it, I didn't like it. When I seen the players in it on Saturday, I liked it. I thought they looked good in it. And yeah, I spoke to quite a few players who played in it the first time round. Tony Daly, Guy Whittingham, Sean Teal, Mark Bosnich, who obviously who didn't play in that kit, but he was in that team. And interestingly, Guy Whittingham said something to me. He said, I didn't care what colours I was playing in as long as I was playing for Villa. You know, he got a move from Portsmouth, who were in the league below, scored 42 goals in that 91-92 season and got his move. He was actually probably a bit part player.
Yeah, I do remember him. It was just at the start of me going to the Villa games, but I remember him, yeah.
But Tony Daly said to me, he said, "Oh, Guy, Guy was great. You know, he came in and always scored a goal here and there, and he actually scored more goals than anyone in that green and red shirt." That's a weird stat. Well, you can tell I've been doing my research.
Yeah, you have
digging out the goal scorers of various games. But I think Villa played in it 16 times before and didn't have too much of a great record. But I mean, I quite liked it actually.
Yeah,
it was all right.
Like you say, you look at Jack Grealish in it and you think, oh, that looks unbelievable.
Well, he looks good in anything.
When I look at myself in a cap of shirts, I'm not pleased with what I see. But that's more to do with the fit than the colours, to be fair. So we'll just go read Dean Smith's post-match just to finish. I'm disappointed with the manner of the goals we conceded. We came with a game plan and I thought we showed some good enterprise going forward. We started quite well in the second half and City's first goal is just a lump from the goalkeeper. Ming should do better and he knows that, but then a top player like Raheem Sterling puts the ball in the back of the net. But I would question City's second goal. I think Raheem Sterling is offside and he impedes the goalkeeper from making a save. I said we were going to finish on that, but there's just one little stat I saw here. We made 5 fouls in the game. For me, I'd expect us to be making more, and that tells me that we didn't break City up as well as we can, because sometimes you can make a clever tactical foul.
Yeah.
Where were they? 5 fouls, I bet that's low. I bet City won't have had less than that in a game this season against them. I wouldn't have thought.
No, I wouldn't have thought.
It was just something I noticed when I was putting the graphic in my notes.
Yeah, I remember the first half being very, very free-flowing. It hardly broke up at all. As I said previously, I think Villa did a decent job of taking the sting out the game when they could, when Heaton had the ball. But the game flowed. There weren't many fouls in general. And yeah, maybe they just needed to do that sort of dark arts. Yeah, if you use them to your advantage in the second half.
You should be fouling Man City. you just got to.
Sometimes it's the only way to stop them.
I'd be interested to see Wolves winning 2-0. I'd be interested to see what their fouling stats were.
Yeah,
perhaps something I should have got on. Tom would have definitely had that on the note. So I do want to go into the questions, because a lot of people are obviously keen to ask you questions in your new role and stuff. But because we're not doing a match preview for Wolves, I just want to quickly touch on that game. So I've got down here. I don't like the rotation in the cups now. You're not far away from the quarterfinals and semi-finals. We're not playing in Europe. Like, I can see why Wolves would rest people, because they've obviously got Europa League commitments. I get you want to give a few people a chance. So I'd expect Conser to play instead of Engels and things like that, and I understand that. But I'd want to keep the core of the side together and go for it. I haven't seen Villa win anything. Well, no one's seen Villa win anything since 1996. It's a good chance to try and get some silverware.
Yeah, it's an interesting point, Dan, actually, because you think of the time when Martin O'Neill tossed it off in Moscow. You think of when Gerard Houllier played the understrength team at Man City, and then went and lost to Bolton. I think the next game is trying to protect the Premier League results. So yeah, I actually think Villa have got two teams that are very similar to each other in terms of the strength. Yeah, I think if Villa played the cup team in the Premier League, it wouldn't be as strong as the first team, but it's not far off.
You think?
Yeah, I really do think that. I really think they're not far off. The two teams.
It's an interesting point of view. I'm not sure I agree with it.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. They're not as good.
No,
but I think
solid enough.
They're not bad. Yeah, they're not bad. So I think, look, Connor's going to play.
Yeah.
Keenan Davis is going to play.
Connor's definitely going to play.
Connor's going to play.
Steer.
I'd like to think Jed Steer is going to play. I really hope he does.
That's his reward, isn't it?
Yeah, he's got to be. He's got to. But then, maybe he might throw McGinn in there and maybe a Mings.
Well, he had to play McGinn last round, didn't he? Because Lansbury pulled out.
Yeah.
I just think momentum as well. Like, win on Wednesday with a full team, you get into the Liverpool game on a bit more of a high than you would be, because you've lost to Man City. I can't feel like you want those players to get another win.
Yeah. It's a big game, isn't it? Wolves as well. Look, this is the only local derby Villa are going to have this season anyway against Wolves.
Yeah.
So it's a big game. The fans will really be up for it. It's not the big derby, of course.
What do you make of that? Because I find the whole Wolves rivalry thing funny.
It's developed, hasn't it? It's developed in recent years. I think Wolves fans talk about Villa a little bit too much. I think that maybe some Villa fans, I think the fact maybe that just Wolves are a better team now, but they've got closer to Villa, haven't they? Villa are always
they're definitely the better team.
Yeah, but Villa, for all my life anyway, Villa have always been the top dogs.
Yeah, same for me.
Then West Brom had that little sort of small period where they were the top dogs, but now Wolves are. And I think that rivalry is just formed because of their increase in stature.
Yeah, I feel like Dr. Tony and Keith Weiner stoked it a little bit at the time as well.
Yeah, a little bit, and the two teams are going for promotion, weren't they? The two clubs were going for it there, and Wolves are great. You can't knock them.
I've got a massive amount of respect for them. I think they're a good club. I like the way they operate. To be fair, but I just think they're trying to make this massive rivalry, and I don't think Villa fans really feel that way. It's a weird one.
From the Villa fans I speak to, they don't really care. No. They hate Blues.
That's it.
The older lot hate West Brom, but Wolves has just never been one.
No, it's weird.
Even Dean Smith said it. Ashley Priest from the Birmingham Mail asked him about what do you think of the Villa Wolves rivalry, and he just said, well, it's non-existent, isn't it? It hasn't really.
It's really weird. It hasn't
really been one.
Because I went on TalkSport before the season started, and straight away they were trying to stoke up this Wolves thing, and I wasn't really having it because I was like, I don't really care.
Yeah.
Would I like to finish above them? Of course I would. That would have meant we'd had a good season, but
it wouldn't bother you, would it, finishing above them than say finishing above Tottenham? There's no real difference.
No, it's our derby's Blues.
Yeah,
I hate them. They hate us. That is the derby. But Wolves, it just, when they're beating Man City away from home 2-0 and then they're instantly singing about the Villa, I just think, is that really the most important thing to you right now? You're flying, you're in the Europa League, you've just won at the best team in the country.
And Coventry a little bit like that as well. I've covered a few Coventry
Villa
games
thing, I think.
And, they're all singing about Villa, but I think it's just because Villa have always been the sort of top dogs, and okay, it's changed a little bit in recent years, but
it's a backhanded compliment, really. Isn't it?
Yeah. Just accept it, enjoy it, and tell them they're obsessed at every opportunity.
Yeah, and then they'll say mind the gap at every opportunity. Right, let's get to some questions. There's quite a lot. First question's a shocker. Who has the better hair out of the two of you? It's definitely not me today. You've had a fresh trim.
I've had mine done on Saturday,
specifically for the podcast.
Yeah.
Knew you were coming on. Tried to make me look silly because I need a haircut.
2 days fresh this. So,
it's looking good. It's looking good. So you've definitely won that one. Labu comes on our fan cams, wants to know from you. He obviously doesn't think I've got any inside info. Are Villa going back into the transfer market in January, and what rumblings have you heard so far?
Right, okay, yeah, transfers. So, led to believe that Villa want a winger more than a striker.
That surprises me. Because I think we need someone that can do both.
Yeah, I think if they could get somebody who's versatile and does both, that's ideal. Suso knows the market in France and Spain much better than Dean will, for example. So there's a couple of targets that they are looking at. Suso will put them into Dean. If Dean doesn't like them, then he'll say, and they'll have a conversation between them. Be interesting to see whether they're going back in for Benrahma.
They want a winger.
He's not really done it for Brentford, to be honest, this season. He got on the score sheet for the first time last week. If Brentford lower their asking price, maybe he would be one to keep an eye on. I know that Villa have been looking heavily at Villarreal games as well in Spain, so Akambi maybe might be
my Villarreal knowledge is not good.
There's a player called a striker, Akambi. Played at Angers before in France.
Can he play on the wing?
He's more of a centre forward, but look, I don't know whether he will be the one that they will be directly looking at. But Villarreal, from a contact of mine, said that they've been looking at Villarreal. But look, they'll be casting the net far and wide. I've got no names for you, to be honest. Villa like to keep their business very, very private. So yeah, if ever I do have any stories, I will tweet them and put them on the Athletic.
I was going to say they'll probably be in the Athletic, won't they?
Yeah.
I'd say I've got a theory of something that happened in the summer. I think we were, and I heard this from a reasonably reliable source, that we were after that Leao that went to Milan.
Right, okay.
I think he was the other striker we were trying to get, and that's not happened. He's gone to Milan because he can play wide as well, I think.
Yeah.
I know a Milan fan, so he's been playing wide as well for them on occasion, so I think it was him. He kind of fits the profile of, obviously he was playing in the French league at the time, he kind of fits the profile of what I think we would have been looking at. I think he went for 35 million to Milan. So I think we lost out on him.
Yes.
But then we know that they didn't want to pay the money for Malpay, who would have been a good addition, so that's 15 million more than Malpay, so maybe I'm wrong.
It's a lot of money, I think. Yeah, I mean, maybe they wouldn't have got Wesley if that was the case.
Yeah. It's a fair one. Marc Giroud, whose name I get wrong every single week and still can't remember how you pronounce his second name, but Giroud. We'll go with it. We'll see how we go. He'll let me know that that's wrong for sure. He says, what's your favourite and least favourite part of your job as a journalist?
Oh yes, I remember seeing this one. Where shall I start? Favourite? My favourite part of being a journalist, I think, is seeing the smile on people's faces when I write something nice about them. If I can write something and it helps boost their profile or it helps make their lives a little bit better, then that's really rewarding for me. I really like that. I've had so many compliments from some of the stories I've done at the Athletic. Just one example would be the story about Bantu Rovers, which was Marvellous Nakamba's first team. Now, if Nakamba hadn't moved to England, I would not be writing about Bantu Rovers in Zimbabwe. No. But for people that don't know Bantu Rovers, they're just they're a club in Zimbabwe, but they take children off and Nakamba was one of these, basically off the streets if they can see potential in them in terms of football. But not only do they develop their football skills, they also give them an education, and the players, Nakamba included, teach younger children how to avoid contracting HIV and AIDS in Zimbabwe, because it's a big problem, and they do that through football drills. I just thought, because I was digging deeper into it, because that's what we do at the Athletic. We write stories that nobody else will write. So I'm looking at Nakamba when he came, and I thought, right, okay, so where did he play when he was growing up? And I got speaking to people in Zimbabwe, etc. And I got in touch with the owner of Bantu Rovers. And when he was telling me about the club, I just thought, this is amazing. This is a brilliant story. I'd never have written about this. And it was just it's just one example, but it's just to know that they've got a bit of positive coverage, and the power of positive coverage is it's fantastic. And so I'm going off track a bit. Anyway, that's my that's the favourite part of my job. The worst part of my job would be I don't like the negative opinion of journalists. I think that often maybe players think that we're out to get them. Certainly not. I'd much prefer to write a positive story than a negative one. As a journalist, you're never going to please everybody. No. You're just not. If you write something, not everybody is going to like that story. It could be, there's so many different people that could not like that story, but you can't please everyone. I've always known that. I just wish there was more of not a negative feeling around journalists, because we're not all out to get people. We're certainly not.
That depends where you work as well, a little bit though, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because without knocking journalists, depending on where you work, some people are probably told to do that, and they have to do it. Yeah, they probably won't even enjoy it, but they probably have to do it.
Maybe it's just something that I never got into. I never got into sports journalism for. I am a fan, the same as I'm a football fan, like the same as all your listeners. I'm just in a privileged position that I'm able to write about it.
Yeah.
There's so many other people that could do my job also. I think James Rushton, the stuff he does, he's
brilliant.
Absolutely fantastic. How he's not working in industry, I don't know. Yourself, Dan, you do brilliant stuff. You should be working in the industry, but it's just for me, I'm a football fan, and it's great for me to be able to write about it.
On that topic, just quickly, I think it was Jude actually. I think that asked it. I haven't got it in front of me. I think Jude asked, have you got any advice for a young person or a 34-year-old person trying to like break into the industry?
Advice. Yeah, a lot of people ask me this. I feel
How did you start?
Yeah, I did a college course at Sutton Coldfield College. I was on that for 3 months, and a job opportunity came up at Solihull News to be a news reporter and a sports reporter. They came to our college course and said, look, who are your best students? There was 3 or 4 that were put forward. I got quite lucky because I lived in Solihull, so they took me on. And then I went from there. I worked at Solihull News for a year and a half as a news reporter. Difficult times. My boss was Ross Crawford. I'll never forget his name, because he used to grill me and put me through some really hard times, but it was a great grounding. And then I moved to the Birmingham Mail, was a news reporter for them for a little bit, and then moved into sport. So my advice would be for a young journalist is to write focus on an area that you're passionate about, for starters. You've got to enjoy it. Like, I love writing about what I write about, and if I didn't, then it would be a hard job to do.
Yeah,
you've got to love what you write about to start with, or what you write, or what you talk about.
I think that comes across, because I'm not knocking the Birmingham Mail at all, but since I've been reading your stuff in the Athletic, it's a lot different. Like, your character's coming across more in your stuff in the Athletic than it would have done in the Birmingham Mail. I think that's probably again why the Athletic's so successful, because you get to show your personality more. Yeah,
it's different. Look, I'm not going to knock anything at the Birmingham Mail at all. I
don't like that video go there. I
had a brilliant time there, and it's different storytelling. There's a market for that. It's quick hitting stuff, and look, Ashley Priest, who's the Villa reporter now, is doing a great job.
Yeah.
It's his first job in sports journalism. He used to be a news reporter, and he's doing really well for himself, and fair play. So I'm not going to say anything bad about Birmingham Live. We're just different. There's the numbers, the amount of people that view stories on Birmingham Live is incredible. It's growing all the time, because there is an audience and an appetite for it. our audience is just slightly different. We tell stories in a different way.
Because you don't do match reports, do you? People probably won't know that. I didn't know until you told me, and I properly noticed. But you don't do match reports, so you come away with a story from the game and focus on that rather than doing a match report. So again, it just shows it's innovative and it's something different, isn't it?
Yeah. It's simple. We tell the stories that other people don't.
It's good.
And our aim, or the Athletics' aim, is to, if we create something that's brilliant, people will pay for it and enjoy it.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've covered quite a lot of things that people have actually asked. There's one here from George Fowler. Greg, do you think there's a week-to-week, highly sensationalist approach to football journalism these days? One week you're a world beer, the next a donkey. Same goes for clubs.
Yeah, it's a good question, and I think times have changed a little bit. I think the introduction of Twitter and that platform, say Marcus Rashford misses a penalty, for example, against Man United, there will be tens of thousands of tweets slating Marcus Rashford.
Yeah, it's a joke.
So how, as a journalist or somebody who writes about Manchester United, do you not sort of go with that talking point? Journalists now tend to write about talking points, and if Villa fans, for example, are slating Wesley for not being good enough, it's my job then to look into it and say, why isn't he good enough? What's he doing? What's he doing wrong? Pick up some stats and develop a story around that. But then that story might go out, and people might think, why is he writing about Wesley? Why is he slating him already? It's too early. It's just people's opinions. I think that with social media, talking points and opinions are just so in your face now.
Yeah.
That's reflecting in media. It's not right because, and also if you look at managers as well, their lifespan is so much shorter, isn't it? So the people want success immediately. And it's like, if you're a goalkeeper who hasn't kept a clean sheet for 5 games, you're a bad goal. You're not good enough. If you're a striker who hasn't scored in his first 5 games, you're a dud.
Yes, and realistically, it's not how it works, is it, at all? But so, I mean, to be fair, I'm one of the people. Obviously, I'll go on social media and I'll tweet my thoughts straight out after the game and give my opinion. But I wouldn't describe myself as like a sensationalist. Whereas a lot of stuff you see on social media, it's just so over the top.
Yeah, it is. It's. I mean, it really is, isn't it? It's social media just in general. But headlines don't help. Misleading headlines aren't great either. But it's just the world we live in now, unfortunately.
Yeah, I have a good question here. I've lost it. Talking about professionalism and stuff like that, I've completely let myself down. Here we go. Andrea Aiken, with Southgate present on Saturday, do you think Jack has now shown him enough to warrant a call-up in November, injury allowing?
Yeah, I mean, fingers crossed his injury isn't too bad. Thanks for the question. Southgate was watching Jack closely, has been for some time now. I think he was very close to probably the last squad as well. He's that one or two that will be.
Do you think it's out of him and Maddison at the moment?
Yeah, big time. Yeah, it's. I think the game that he saw against Brighton, he was fantastic, wasn't he?
Yeah, I think it was one of the best things, best performances I've ever seen.
Yeah, he was absolutely brilliant, and Southgate would have had that in his head. He would have, he left 10 minutes before the end, but he would have seen how brilliant Jack was that day. At Man City, he had a couple of good moments, and even Pep Guardiola came out after and said some, pretty unbelievable things.
Didn't they? Yeah, Man City can't afford Jack Grealish, he said.
Yeah, he did. Yeah,
it's good to know that.
Said some pretty incredible things about him, saying that he's an incredible player, always creates something. And Southgate will know how good he is now. It's just whether he can get in ahead of the players that are currently there. Maddison's doing well, isn't he?
Yeah, Maddison's. I just think they're different. Yeah, Maddison's going to bang you a free kick, score from range. Jack's going to unlock a defence. He's better at that. I think they're different. I think there's room for both in the squad.
I think so.
But one thing that I've always thought with Southgate and Jack is, I kind of always felt like Southgate holds on to the Jack that was in the under-21s, perhaps didn't always do everything he should do off the pitch, and I feel like Southgate has maybe held on to that for a little bit too long. And Jack got booked for dissent on Saturday.
Yeah.
And I always think Southgate doesn't like stuff like that.
No.
And he hasn't done that all season, and then in front of him at Man City on Saturday, he talks himself into the book. Yeah. I think all that kind of stuff, it matters with Southgate.
Yeah, it definitely does, but I know that Southgate has a representative watching every single Villa game anyway, so he's going to get a report on every single one of Jack Grealish's performances, and he'll collate that together. I think when you see Southgate at England at Villa games, okay, there's Mings and Heaton now in the squad as well, but I think that's when he's really close to deciding is am I going to put Jack in, because Look, for me, I'd have him in 100% every day of the week.
Don't be swearing. You've got an hour and 9 minutes without swearing.
Every day of the week, he'd be in that squad for me because, no disrespect to Villa either, I firmly believe with even better players around him, he'll flourish even more.
I feel exactly the same. I don't think that's disrespectful to Villa at all. I just think that's the way he is, linking up with someone like Harry Kane, Raheem Sterling.
Yeah.
Sancho's a class act at Dortmund. It is only going to make him better, but then Villa have got bad previous with players getting into the England squad and then leaving. But Jack's a Villa fan, isn't he? I don't think that'll be happening.
Let's hope not.
Anytime soon. Like you say, I think Steve Holland was the one who was coming to watch Jack last season in the Championship.
Yeah.
Now Southgate's there himself.
It shows, doesn't it?
If you had to put money on it, next squad, fitness permitting, is it? You think?
Yeah, I'd put him in. Yeah. I've backed him to be in England in the Euro squad as well.
Have you?
Yeah.
No.
5-1.
It's good odds. Good odds. I wish
might have dropped after the Brighton game.
I wish I'd have had a bit of that. I'd love to stay and talk to you all night, but we're out of time. We're going to get kicked out the booth, but hopefully we'll be able to get you on again and do something.
Yeah. Thank you very much for.
It's good to have a professional on. No disrespect to Tom. I don't think I'm a professional myself either, but it's good to have like someone who you've obviously got close links. You talk to a lot of people, so it's really insightful for us to have you on. And thanks very much for coming.
You're welcome. Thank you to everyone who submitted the questions as well.
Yeah, we didn't even get through half of them. It's just, I think me and you spent so long going over the Man City game and then delving off into different areas while we were doing it. We ran out of time. But if you have enjoyed this podcast, then make sure you give it a like. If you have enjoyed it, comment below as well with some of your thoughts. Got any questions for Greg? You got a YouTube account? Maybe jump on and answer some that didn't get answered.
Actually, no.
Not subscribe to the Villa View then, Greg. If you haven't got a YouTube account,
I just watch it every week, but I don't subscribe. Is that bad?
Yeah, that is bad. You got to subscribe if you like Greg. If you like Greg and you're not subscribed to the Villa View with your post notifications on, then make sure you're doing that. There'll be a preview for the Liverpool game coming up, and I think there's going to be fan cams as well on Wednesday. Although I can't make it, I've got another commitment, so I'm not going to be there. But we'll do our best to sort it out and get the content out to you. Once again, thanks very much for watching or listening. However you've taken this podcast in, up the Villa. If you enjoyed that video, why not watch another? Click the video choices on screen now to go and watch them in full. Be sure to subscribe to the channel by clicking our logo there on the left. Easy peasy.